Hi everybody, it's Saturday and I have work to do, so let's make a video instead. The big news is that I now have the full database out on Google Cloud. The address is going to be in the comments for this video. You can download it and study the whole course at your leisure. So for this video I want to give the defender some guidance. The first thing to do as this endgame is appearing on the board is get an idea of how far away from mate you are. The worst position in the world is for the white king to be trapped in the corner of a board. At this point, you're 32 to up to 34 moves away from mate. If the defender can get both pieces into the four central squares of the board, you're 28 to 30 moves away from mate. If the attacker can get 4 files while the defender is restricted to 3, now we're looking at about 24 moves away from mate. And if we move this position up 1 rank so that black is on the 7th rank, then you're about 21 moves from mate, and we lift it up another rank so that black is on the edge of the board, you're about 18 moves from mate. Finally, when the defender is confined to a corner of the board, then you're about 15 moves away from mate. Now what this tells you is that as the defender, your plan is clear. As white is queening that final pawn, if you can confine his king to the edge of the board, do it. If not, try to get your pieces into the center of the board, and if you can't get into the 4 central squares, or if you're kicked out of them, you want to try to stay on the D and E files or the 4th and 5th rank as you retreat toward the edge. You want to avoid the corner at all costs, only go there when the attacker forces it. So for example, if this is our starting position with black to play, black is in danger of getting trapped in a corner only 15 moves away from mate. The best way to avoid this fate is to move toward the center at all costs. Now he can't get his pieces into the 4 central squares because white has this check. You have to fall back and the king takes up a blockading position, but you've gotten as close to the center as you could, and your 2 pieces are still on the D and E files, so you can hopefully retreat straight upward and give white the hardest problems to solve possible. A much worse way to play is to concede space without having to. So we get a check there. This is also bad. Why are you walking straight into the corner? You should have gone to F5. So we got that, there, boom. You're trapped in the corner. You've conceded 8 moves toward mate. Apart from not allowing a fork and following the rules I already laid out, the most important thing for a defender to do is be aware of and use stalemate tricks. So in this position, black's basic defense is attack one or the other of the pieces with a defended rook. So we're going to check the king, go over here. Remember that you can check the king again. If the rook is captured, it's an immediate stalemate. If he goes back here, just repeat the position. You've driven him another square away, and now once you've driven one piece away, drive the other piece away. That's the best way to defend. Black has just gained several moves toward the 50-move rule. And of course, never forget that a careless attacker can walk into a skewer. Whoops. It's a good thing you didn't go to F5, huh? Now for the defender, the entire program is organized around 4 basic kinds of defensive positions. This is a close defense. You have the king on the edge of the board and the rook is standing close by with freedom of movement in both directions. The second kind of defensive position is a distant defense, where the king and the rook are on opposite edges of the board. As you might expect, if they're on the D and E files or the 4th and 5th ranks, that's the best for the defender. As always, you'll want to stay out of corners. The third type of defensive position is a 3rd rank defense, a cutoff. The more general term is the cutoff. This can be on the 4th rank, it can be elsewhere on the board, but the idea is that the rook is preventing the king from advancing and has freedom of movement in both directions. And the 4th basic kind of defensive position is a harassment defense, where the rook is hiding on the diagonal of the attacking king. This is the second of the 3 kinds of positions that it's easiest for the attacker to misplay. I have 2 videos up on how to break harassment defenses. They're very important to learn. If you haven't studied that, it's very unlikely you're going to be able to beat a computer using table bases. It's worth following what is certainly the most highly rated time that this endgame appeared on the board. This is Gelfand Svidler, with Svidler having the queen and Gelfand having the rook. And Gelfand has clearly studied this endgame and come up with some good ideas. Queen g6 can't be bad. Don't move your pieces toward the edge of the board if you don't have to. He takes the corner position. Okay, body check the king, walk aside. Now, if you do the whole program, you will probably learn to play queen c6 almost instinctively. The reason is we've got the white king trapped in a corner of the board already. So we want to push him toward that corner, and the best way to do that is take the long diagonal. But it can't be bad to attack a hanging rook either. What the heck? King f3, and now Svidler goes for this kind of position, the Erva positions, named after the world champion. The problem with this is that he's forcing white toward the 8th rank now, and white is a long way from the 8th rank. You've already got him in a corner. Why not keep him in that corner with this? That is more effective, the pseudo-Erva. The main thing is that you're keeping the defender confined inside that corner. Okay, but we have that. Don't send the rook too far away. And we get this check. That's a little different, but it's okay. Go ahead and walk the king in. Svidler has been doing what he could, and he's actually making progress. So Gelfand starts playing for a 3rd rank defense. Goes there. And now the attackers know you're supposed to play queen g3, take away one of the 2 4th and 5th rank squares from the king, and then you have a pure 3rd rank defense. And we already know how to break that. It's also possible to turn it into a harassment defense. It's really just a waste of time to attack that rook. It just goes to the other side of the board. But now we go there. Queen g3 remained correct for the same old reasons. Okay, but there's nothing horrible happening yet. There we go. Now we've taken away that central square from the king. Svidler has the correct setup for breaking a 3rd rank defense. Now this is something I recommend you do if you have this position in a live game and a person has gotten this far. You can play the 3rd rank defense, but people are getting too well aware of how to handle that. You could play the harassment defense with rook to b1, but a confusing option you have is what Gelfand did here. That is objectively a worse way to defend, but it's confusing. People haven't studied it. Now what do you do here? Well, the correct thing to do is queen g5. The king is walking into the corner, just pen him in. If you go there, that's actually bad. The trick worked. So king h4, now you can repeat the position, or you can give a check here, but that was a bad mistake on Svidler's part. Gelfand did not know to take advantage of it. What I've highlighted on the board is that white now has the opportunity to run toward the center of the board. Anytime you have that opportunity, take it. So we can go like that. Okay, we've just repeated the 3rd rank kind of stuff, and now we can go to a harassment defense, and black gained nothing in the last 7 or 8 moves. Okay, so instead, we got that. He played king g3. Okay, it's still not horrible. It's objectively lost, so what the heck. We got a check there. Back to king h3. Svidler really has made some progress now. He's got the pieces penned in the center, which is what you want. Fall back. Knowledge of rosettes, as I've said elsewhere in the course, if you can form a rosette, it's almost always the best move to make. Queen g4 is a killing move here. It's an immediate Zugzwang. So that's actually not the right way to go. You'd do that on the next move. Okay, rook g1, queen f4 check, king h3. Forming the rosette is the best thing to do. I think Gelfand has already figured that out. We get a check here, we go there, we get a check there. Corner defense. Once again, bad move. Rook g2. Form the rosette whenever you can. Queen e5. Incidentally, it's important to know that queen e5 is not always the best way to handle these kinds of rosettes on the edge. Look it up in the rosette section. Move toward the center at every opportunity you have. He's gotten out of the corner. This is a difficult position to solve at the board. You note that Svidler formed the thorn position, which we talk about elsewhere in the course. But it really is important to know that when you're forming the thorn on the edge of the board, you want to rotate it 90 degrees using this check. That is a really tough position for the defender. Pretty much the only good move is rook h4, and then you have queen f3 check. The king has to go to the edge of the board too, and you send the queen to f7 or f8 or g7 or g8, and that's the absolute seventh position. You forced a distant defense that's relatively easy to break down. Okay, so instead we form the thorn this way, so you form the rosette. Anytime you can form a rosette, it's probably the best defensive move. It's also probably the best attacking move. Once again, skimming past the rook this way is something I see in a lot of strong players' games, but it's usually not the best way to handle this rosette on the edge of the board. So we're walking farther away. Once again, I should mention that we missed a stalemate trick here. There. Gelfand didn't pick up on the stalemate trick. This would already have come close to guaranteeing a 50-move draw. Okay, so he's continuing to go with this strategy. This time, Svidler picked up on the correct way of forming the thorn on the edge of the board. So we go there. That's not the right way to handle it. As you'll see in the course, you want to go queen g7 check. Queen g5 check, and then fall back toward the bottom of the board with the queen. And again, the defender is in a lot of trouble. Okay, you got that check. Remind me to turn my phone alarm off when I make these kinds of videos. Form a rosette whenever you can. In this position, in this rosette, killing move is that. These are the kinds of things you just have to learn, memorize. Okay, I can't hardly blame anyone for doing that. Go there, there. And the attacker only has one way to win here. This is the only move, and I don't know why. Whenever I see this position, the first time I discovered this position, and every time I've seen it since, I think of Elvis Presley, and I don't know why. So let's agree to call this the Elvis move. When you're here, in an Irva position, backed into the corner of the board, but with the attacker on the move instead of the defender, you fall back, not to there, but to there, attacking the rook. Can we all agree that that's the Elvis move? Now we'll all remember to do that. Okay, so you go there. Not making much progress here. Svidler can't find the way to break down the final corner defense. Corner defenses are one of the 3 times that the attacker is likely to go awry. So we check, attack a piece with the rook whenever you can. Drive them out, buy yourself room. Off the edge of the board, can't be bad. Back here, not quite a Philidor yet. Now, how do you make that fork? Who would have picked out that you have to go here, and if it's there, then it's there, and there, and you're forming a fatal cage. But here, if he blocks with the rook, there's your absolute 7th. Okay. So when you're in this position, how easy is it to see that you got to check from d8 and then you either get an absolute 7th or a fatal cage? I can't blame Svidler for not handling this. This really is an ending that's hard for the attacker to play. So we walk through this, half Philidor, Svidler. But it's already too late to make the 50-move rule. So they played it out the rest of the way. And it's a draw. Now, no one can say Svidler doesn't know his chess. But this is an example of what I said near the start of the video. It really is hard for the attacker to play this endgame. It really is easy for the defender to play this endgame. You remember to move your pieces toward the center of the board at every opportunity. Whenever it's possible to make a rosette, make a rosette. And watch out for stalemate tricks. You don't need to know a lot more than that in order to be a good defender.